Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, Vanity Pride. And as usual, we're taking a look at Tower of God, and we're actually starting a new arc today. So now we're looking at Season 2, Chapter 316, The Last Station, Part 1. So now we are about to reach the last station, and of course there are some scenes in this chapter where characters on the last station are interacting, but you guys get the point. We're reaching the last station. But before we do start, I want to credit CoolFoo270, who pointed out that maybe the translation was off with the whole Benny thing. It may have been Bunny, which refers to Shia Shia. So that makes a lot of sense. So I appreciate that. And then I was looking back at the 315 blog notes, and I really loved the art that SIU provided of Bomb playing the piano. So I was like, ooh, this is so cool. And I actually liked the blog notes, so even though it was from last chapter, I do want to go over that real quick before we delve into this chapter. So we have the end note here, the Naver end note. Sound wave attack with piano, ... Nope, he doesn't do that. Which would be cool, though. Like, imagine this, like, turning into, like, some epic music battle or battle of the bands. Like, how cool would that be? Like, seriously, when I saw this image and I, like, read the part of, you know, SIU saying like, oh, Kun would play this instrument, Rock would play this instrument. And I was like, oh my gosh, how cool would it be to write a fanfic or a one-shot even of them being in a band? Like, I'm really tempted to do that, but we'll see. I have like so many ideas floating around for stories and stuff. Though, okay, now that I'm talking about stories, I had actually thought of Kun playing piano. Like, I was actually considering that being in a chapter of one of my stories. Even though here SIU is like, oh, like violin would probably suit him, but I feel piano would too. But anyway, enough of that. Let's delve into the blog post here. The drawing for today's postscript is a talented piano player Bomb, 10th grade, if I remember correctly. A man who is good with piano used to be a popular trope in shoujo manga. I read them a lot due to my sister's influence. I think there's also a stereotype that a man who plays piano equals rich man, haha. See, it would suit Kun as well, so maybe Kun gave Bomb lessons. I kind of like the idea of that. Anyway, it feels like Bomb would still remain talented even if he goes into music. He's a gifted genius after all, haha. For Kun, maybe a violin would suit him. That was a symbol of wealth back in my childhood. Hey. For Rock, well, maybe he can play a drum. So for this episode, continued from the previous episode, we see the Sheep Lizu's side, or I guess team. And then he talks about how he likes drawing them and how they provide comic relief, even though Rock is like the funniest character of the whole story. But yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I was talking about Ship's team last episode in that each of them has like a little quirk to them. And so that's what makes them like such a like cool little dynamic team. And, you know, SIU even says that here too. So I thought that was pretty cool. So skipping ahead here, according to the tower's rule, rankers are prohibited to meddle with regulars' business in the regulars' area. But as it was shown today, the strength of regulars is almost always affected by rankers both directly and indirectly. And so this is where he's going to start talking about how regulars have support from the families. Because I had mentioned last time too, I was like, I hadn't seen this happen before. As we've read Tower of God and like they've progressed through the floors, like we didn't really see anyone who was sponsored by a family or anything, but here, you know, SIU kind of provides a little background on that. So where did I leave off here? Okay, frankly, from the start, if you are born into a reputable family, you can receive a ton of support when climbing the tower. Maybe rankers interfering with regulars, as you saw in this episode, is the way to balance the tilted scale after all. Of course, the side effect will be tremendous as well, though. The stronger a regular is, they are more likely to be from the 10 families or team up with them, so it is a rare case for an ace regular to receive aid from other families. But in some cases, some special cases, ace regulars may receive personal aids to climb the tower. I thought we did meet someone who had a personal aid. Maybe it was Prince, right? Wasn't he being accompanied by someone else? Or maybe it was Lurker. I can't remember. I thought it was one of them, though. But anyway. The man who made the appearance at the end is the Piano Man. I thought it was funny that he did that little reference to Billy Joel, right? I mean, no, it's the new enemy, Mr. Caliban. So yeah, I guess I'll kind of stop there. Oh, and then I love that he says, there are people who do a fan work after receiving my approval. I probably should ask for his approval on my stuff. I can only be grateful for those who cherish, read, and make interesting things out of Tower of God to enjoy them. it makes me think about how I am both knowingly and unknowingly loved by many people. So, like, I feel like SIU is just, like, so humble, and, like, he's just adorable. Like, I would love to meet him, but first I need to take Korean lessons and master the Korean language so we can communicate. But, so yeah, that is the blog from last chapter, like I said. So now we'll go ahead and delve into this chapter, and then at the end, we'll cover the blog notes, which were actually a shorter set of notes compared to last week's. So that was nice, too. I'm like, oh, like, I'm gonna, like, cover so much right now that I don't want this video to last too long. But, we'll try and see what we can make happen here. So we start off at the last station, also called the Mega Dome City Sawfish. And here we have an interaction happening between the ruler of the last station, who again, his name is Lee Hwa-Ryun, and then the high priest that we met several chapters back, whose name is Stuart Arthur. He's serving as a messenger for Zahard as he's addressing Lee here. So he says, the regulars on the train right now are guilty of teaming with Foog to take over the train and manipulate it to get to the top of the tower. This is a serious, unforgivable crime which violates the rules of the tower. So, in order to make an example of them and prevent anything like this from happening again, the Zahard family wants to have them arrested and punished for their crime. We also need your cooperation as the ruler of this station. So this is all Stuart Arthur speaking, by the way. And I had failed to notice that, like, they're not even in the same room, really. Like, he's kind of looking at a holographic screen, and that's where Lee Hwa-Ryun is. Or he's on that screen. But anyway, he responds, Lee does, what exactly do you need? And then Stua says, first, let our advance guards stay here. The same goes for rankers and regulars who have been ordered to come here. And when the train arrives in a month, don't open the station's dock. If they enter the station, we rankers won't be able to touch them. Although it won't happen if they do manage to get into the station, work with the regulars to hunt them down and hand them over to us. And then Lee says, but this station is an area for regulars. Stua says, I know, but this isn't a request. It's a direct order from the Royal Army. You must be aware that in the worst case scenario, we may seal off this station completely and kill everyone, right? The administrator of this floor is already aware of this situation. And Lee is groaning. And see, now I'm curious. I'm like, why couldn't Stua meet face to face with Lee? I'm curious about that now. But maybe it's like, oh, you can't, like, not anyone can just go talk to this dude, right? But I mean, Stua is a high priest. Even though when he does meet up with his cronies later, they start to call him high priest, but then they're like, oh, no, chief. So I don't know if he's, like, trying to hide his identity, too. So anyway, finishing up here. We need you to obey this order. So that, of course, is Stua, and then Lee says, all right. But what's interesting is that Stuart Arthur, even though he's telling his cronies, like, oh, yeah, like, he's accepting the terms, even though he doesn't like the idea and all that, Stuart Arthur admits that he has a bad feeling about this. And then he's like, but even still, ordering us to punish them. So that's the plot twist for me. And I just feel like, there's a little bit more to Stuart Arthur's character. And I would love to see, some kind of background on him. Because I can't, that was the thing too, is like, I can't remember if I ever said anything about him potentially defecting from working with Zahard or for Zahard and eventually switching sides. So, like I said, I can't remember if I predicted that or not, but regardless, I think it would be really cool if that were to happen. And like I mentioned before, I love his cronies. Like, they're even realizing, oh, like, he's so thoughtful, like, to care and worry about these regulars. So they're even trying to offer him a beer, which is super funny. So that's where we leave off with them. And now we skip ahead 10 days later on the Hell train. And so Andrasi is trying to find Hwa Ryun. And I love the dress that she's wearing here. I don't know why it, like, made me think of, like, Phantom of the Opera or something. Point of no return, I guess. Like, the colors were, like, red and black and all that. Anyway, and then eventually we get taken to the scene where Hwa Ryun is talking with Evan. And this is like so important, and just I friggin' loved the scene so much and the exchange that they had with each other. So we're gonna go ahead and read the whole thing. So I believe this is Evan here. For the last few days, the train has definitely been moving way more quickly than usual. And White's clone disappeared after you met White. Tell me the truth. You're up to something, aren't you? Hwa Ryun responds, do you still not see what's going to happen at the station? And Evan says, unlike you guys, our specialty isn't seeing fate, but rather the crossroads right in front of us. But even I can sense that something big will go down at the station. Tell me what path you've seen, and what you're up to. Hwa Ryun says, it's true that I'm the one who made White's clone disappear. I asked her to join forces with White and help us. And Evan's just like, what? Are you insane? Don't you know how dangerous he is? He may not seem like much now, but if he were to recover his old power... I know, but we need every bit of help that we can get. Besides, the train spell that was binding White is broken. Everything has been a complete mess since Bomb returned from the hidden floor. We need another catalyst to bind White before he notices. If the last clone becomes one with White, she may be able to control him to some extent. I didn't force this on her, of course. It was her own choice, and she wanted to rescue Bomb from the crisis I told her about. And Evan asks, how serious is this crisis? Well, Zahard has probably noticed Bomb's existence. And I just love this image here. Like, let's talk about this, because it's been a while since we've seen Hwa Ryun's face up close, and I just love how, like, detailed her eye looks in this image. It's so cool. So anyway, super random, I know. Bomb is a threat to Zahard. He'll do whatever it takes to get rid of Bomb. And Evan's still shocked, like, what? All because of just one regular? And Hwa Ryun says, there's a good chance that Zahard's forces have already gathered at the station. That's why I asked the engineer to get the train to the station as soon as possible, while their forces are still a bit weaker. Although, even still, there's almost no chance that regulars like us will be able to get past them and escape. But you know this, don't you? As long as you're helping us, this danger concerns you too. Can I also point out the fact of her wearing white? Okay? It's different, and to me it almost seems symbolic. And, like, it's such a contrast to, like, the black eye patch that she wears, too. Because, I mean, she works for Foog. You know, Foog typically wears, like, more of, like, the darker colors. It has a bit of the red in it, of course. But white is, like, definitely new. So I'm intrigued if there's, like, some, like I said, some kind of symbolism behind it. Because white, you know, it's like purity or good. Like I said before, you know, Foog, even though they're given this bad rep, they're actually good guys. So maybe it's symbolic of that, or symbolic of something maybe happening to Hwa Ryun. I don't know. I don't know why seeing her wearing white kind of, ooh. Well, I guess there's the character named White, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's a color for her that, like, could symbolize, like, death or something. Huh. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Like, I'm really intrigued. This was something that, like, I mean, I noticed she was wearing white, and I was like, oh, it seems a little bit off that she's wearing this color. But now, like, as I'm reading through this and reviewing this right now with you guys, it's like, huh. There's something with that. Anyway, she continues to say, there's a chance that you may also get caught up in this battle, which, again, shocks Evan. I mean, this is purely, like, Evan getting shocked at everything that Hwa Ryun says. And then he asks how many days till we get there. She answers 1 week. And I did want to point out real quick before we jump the scene again. So Phantom Uprising left a comment last week, and this is what he had to say. Hwa Ryun is not betraying them, but it's not that Andrasi is exaggerating either. Hwa Ryun is really lying to her face. She foresaw the danger of the last station and chose a path in which they'd have a better outcome, even if it means helping White. What I'm wondering is if she has a special way to check him in if he goes rogue on them. So I guess in response to that, I mean, I feel it's as she said, maybe, did she say it in this part? Oh, well, yeah, she said, we need all the help we can get with White. So I feel like, in a sense, White is actually helping them, as opposed to it being the other way around. And, yeah, the way that she's going to keep him in check is with this clone. I mean, she's been having talks with this clone. This clone is going to, like, take over once she joins bodies with White. So that's their way to keep him in check. And I mean, even this clone, I forget her name right now. I don't know if we know her name or if we were ever given one. But anyway, this girl is concerned for Bomb. And so that's going to be a big drive in, you know, him staying in check, White, and, you know, them, Bomb and co, Hwa Ryun as well, getting the help that they need. So, good observation, Phenom Uprising. Thank you for commenting. And thank you to all of you guys for tuning in and, you know, leaving comments and theories below. I know I've been bad last week about responding to your guys' comments, but I appreciate each and every one of them. Seriously, guys. So keep it up, because I want to see what your guys' thoughts are for this chapter as well. Especially, like, the Hwa Ryun dress thing. I mean, it's, like, such a minimal thing, I feel. But, like, at the same time, it's, like, such a big deal to me. So anyway, since she did mention they were going to arrive a week later, it is now a week later. And we now come to the Guardian with Bomb. So they're either finishing up training or they're kind of in the middle of it when Bomb gets a phone call from, or a call from Hwa Ryun, and she's like, oh, hey, come meet me. And so we're going to go ahead and continue reading that part. So she calls him, Irure, and Boro. And she says, I have something to tell you. The three of you have to take the path I'm about to tell you and lead your teammates out of here. And they're all just like, huh? She says, in a few hours from now, we'll arrive at the last station. I'm not sure who this is, but they're like, what? There's supposed to be a while left until we arrive. I asked the assistant engineer to move it faster. Why? That's Boro. You guys won't exactly receive a warm welcome at the last station. You'll probably face the start of the worst possible crisis. Now, you guys have to lead the teams I divided up for you and escape from this crisis. To be honest, I'm not even sure if this is the right path. But it wouldn't hurt to increase our chances at least a little bit, right? Then Bomb asks, what kind of crisis is waiting for us? Hwa Ryun responds, I'm not sure, but nothing will get in your way more than sitting around and letting your fear build up. True that. Like, seriously. Just trust me and do as I say. So yeah, I mean, I kind of got a little suspicious of Hwa Ryun last chapter just because Andrasi's like, oh, something's up. She's lying to us. I never trusted her from the first day I met her. But, I mean, freaking, I love Hwa Ryun. I mean, there's so many people who love her, and I love her too. I mean, she's a redhead. Fellow redhead. But, yeah, no, I really love her, and, you know, I would have been so bummed if she betrayed them. But I kind of figured she wouldn't. Even though it seemed last chapter like I was really implying that and, you know, like making you guys take that poll and all that. But no, seriously, like, I love her. Even if she did betray them, I think it would have been, like, such a cool plot twist, too. Because I do love my villains. I'm not gonna lie about that. I mean, y'all see how I defend Rachel, so... Alright, anyway. Now we come to the Lees. So, Hwa Ryun, his daughter and son. And the daughter's pretty upset right now, because she's like, do you really intend to obey the request, father? Handing over the people on the Hell train? This station is an area for regulars only. Even if they did break the rules, how can they do this to them? I'm absolutely against this. And her name is Lee So-young. And then the brother is like, lower your voice around Dad, So-young. And his name is Lee Soa. Sorry. I mock him because I have suspicions of this dude, which we will talk about in a minute. So anyway, So-young says, just be quiet, Soa. Dad, you said yourself, this place is a paradise that only regulars could create. You wanted to make a utopia free from competition and outside interference. The idea was to create a true resting place for regulars on the Hell train who survived till the end of the competition. I listened to you because I genuinely respected you, Dad. And he's all quiet over here on his throne. Or not throne, but whatever. We're gonna call it a throne. Because he's being such a dumbass, too. If I had known you would give in to a little intimidation like this, so when I got here, And then he interrupts her, and he's like, So-young, leave now. And she's like, Dad! I'm now stripping you of your rights as a ruler of the dome. What? I can't leave someone as emotional as you in charge of such a position. And friggin' this is where Soa, like, puts in his 2 cents. I'm like, fuck off, dude. He's like, So-young, just get out before you make things even worse. And then she's like, damn it. And then she runs off. So pause there, because I do want to talk about this dude. I'm suspicious as hell of this dude, okay? Let me find my notes, though. Okay, here we go. So I'm thinking, what if this brother, right, Lee Soa, what if he's, like, secretly working with Zahard? Because, like I said, we've established Foog is actually good, Zahard, not so much. Especially since they're trying to, like, eliminate regulars and all this shit. So I'm like, dude, okay, what if the brother's working with them? And then he betrays his dad. He might even, like, freaking kill his dad or have someone kill the dad for him. And then he'll have complete control of this floor because it's so perfectly worked out that the dad decided to strip So Young of her power over this floor. Because half the floor belonged to her, half the floor belonged to Soa. And so this happened. And now it's like, it's just too perfect. Like, things are going Soa's way. If I'm correct on this, and Soa's really gonna, like, betray and, like, take full control of this floor, like, that could happen, right? And so then I had here, too, that if Lee Xiaowung, you know, does get hurt, you know, to the point of, you know, he's minutes away from death or whatever, as he's dying, he's gonna regret his choices, like, fuck. You know, why did I act so impulsively and, like, kicked out his daughter, right? Why didn't he just, like, split the power evenly? Because now the brother, who's, like, corrupt and shit, is gonna take over the whole floor and ruin his dream. Because, I mean, frickin' So Young had a point, though. And you saw how quiet frickin' Xiaowun was when she was like, oh, you wanted to build this paradise and, like, you know, make it peaceful for regulars. And now it's like he's letting this shit happen and, you know, he's not doing anything to stop it. So those are my thoughts on that. And I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on that, too. All right, so moving along. Oh, yeah, she gets a call from Ryu Ang. I'm not sure who that is yet, but I guess we'll find out at some point. And she basically tells him, hey, you know, whatever my dad says or does, just let me know. And then this this Ryu An person is like, oh, we've got serious trouble. The train is pulling into the station way sooner than expected. And so this is where we're meeting a bunch of new characters. Yeah, they're all like, you know, questioning this whole thing of like, whoa, the train is already here. Like, why so soon and all that. So yeah, a whole set of characters, guys. It's crazy. I don't know how like SIU like had the time to like draw all these characters, you know, because like there's so many that he's introducing us to right now. Unisona, Redbeard, Pinnacle, Moguri, Alex, Kong, Trio, Polo, Purple Eye Brothers, Navigator. Obviously, we know these three, the Lees, and then these are characters that we don't see their names, so they'll probably get like a better and more proper introduction later on. But this man right here, the moment I saw him, I was like, ooh, I'm like, Kun Agaro who? Like, Levi or Levy, you had me at what's up. So here he's like, what's up with you guys? All right, we've discovered that he's a D rank regular because we only knew him by his nickname and name. But yeah, so he's a D rank regular. And then he's like, I'd like to ask you, did you get here so soon because you want me to catch you? What a bunch of losers. And then, like I said, more characters. We have 3rd Regimental Commanders Ranker Misebichi and Ranker Powler. 3rd Battalion Commander Ranker Holly, Knife, Water Jelly. Water Jelly looks interesting. Kind of looks like Flubber. H23, H14, Yuryu, or Yuryu. I can't. All right. She looks cool, though. I like her. I'm intrigued, and I'm curious to see, like, what her role will be in all this. And then Drak, dude. Drak is, like, my favorite out of this set of characters that we're introduced to. I love his green hair. Let me start off with that. And, yeah, so here's his title. 2nd Company Commander, Advanced Ranker, Fozenkal Drak. So he is another member of the Fozenkal family. So I'm, like, super intrigued to see what role he'll play here as well. And then 2nd Assistant Division Commander, High Ranker Dorian Frog. Love her hair. It's purple like Faye. All right. So again, like I said, a lot of people just being like, oh my gosh, the train is here so soon, blah, blah, blah. But the final scene that really hit home, Let me get some water real quick because I'm like dying over here. I blame Lee Sowa for like draining my my mouth. I don't know. That sounds really awkward. For making my throat dry up. You know, I'm just gonna stop. I don't have the proper words to even express myself. Okay. So like I said, what really hit home for me this chapter was this last bit of this scene in which White accepts the conditions that his clone is giving him. He's like, so you need my help, huh? I can't believe I've gotten so lucky right before getting off the train. All right, I guess you must be in the same position, but what other choice do I have now? I'll respect your conditions. And then she's like, all right, good. I didn't expect things to turn out like this either, but it's time for us to become one again. So yeah, like I said, he's accepting the terms, and it's really intriguing that he's okay with her taking control. So, you know, she's going to be like the dominant one of all the clones in his body. And, you know, it's going to be very useful to Bomb and Co. because she's going to be able to like make White help them out. So super convenient for their team. And just super intriguing that like White would surrender like that. I wonder if there's like some kind of catch, like if he's really going to try and like kind of tame her over and take control, or, you know, if he's just like really willing to just help them out. So I would have liked to see like the part where she's listing off the conditions to him. So then we kind of get a glimpse of what that conversation was, but maybe we'll see it in flashbacks. So anyway, so we don't keep dragging this review any longer than it needs to be dragged out. We're gonna go ahead and skim through here, this blog post for 316. So frickin' Kun looks adorable and precious playing the violin. You had me while you were playing the violin. I'm back to Team Kun now. So anyway, SIU says here, for those who are heartbroken by Kun's absence as of late, I drew Kun playing a violin for this week's postscript, as some people had requested in the last week's postscript. So today, as I had to fuss around with my personal business and feel like my energy has been drained, I will keep this postscript short. My gosh, that is a tongue twister. It's very challenging to draw. So many characters were coming out, and it's like, please look forward to the next week-ish. That's the end of the postscript. Haha. How simple was that? Just read the next week's chapter. I mean, please read it, since I worked hard to draw it. Like, dude, you're awesome, SIU. I mean, I don't think we can tell you enough. And the artwork is just phenomenal. All right, so he says here, since this is too short, I'll add some more. When it comes to naming characters, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like, I liked the way it reads or how it feels. There are many occasions where I use the names of footballers, too. And footballers as in soccer players. And even in that case, how much the character resembles the soccer player is the least of my concern. I just use the name if I feel it suits the character. So you don't need to try to come up with name meanings, even though some characters do have some meanings attached to their names. And then he's like, it's getting chilly at night, so take care, and, you know, basically wishing us well this week. So always so sweet when he says that. But yeah, so that is pretty much it for this chapter. I'm not really going to do a recap because y'all have heard enough of me talking. Who knows what I'm going to spout next about freaking Lee Sowa in my mouth. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I look forward to your guys' comments and theories, and I will catch you guys next week. About next week, I might do a tardy posting again. So I'm just letting you know in advance because it is Labor Day and I'll be at a con, so that'll keep me busy. So I won't be able to post the video on Tuesday, but definitely Thursday next week. So that being said, have a great week, everybody. Take care of your health, as SIU says, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.